Previously on Live to Fish Outboard Repair. Okay, I'm back on the 75 horsepower Johnson with the electromatic shift. What took it out of the lake, it was missing just slightly. So I went into the points, I cleaned the points again, and now I can't get it to start for some reason. But I was curious to see whether or not these pistons, what kind of shape they're in. And you can see they're actually not real bad. They look pretty good. For this vintage, I was surprised. I thought this engine would be all carboned up, but you can see the rings, and the rings move. There's not much scoring at all. If there is, it's very little. But as I cycle the engine, I'm going to cycle it and turn it so you can see the bottom cylinder, and I can move the rings with the screwdriver, so I know they're free. I'm only getting about 80 pounds of compression here, so maybe that's fine, but it just seems like something is off. Either the timing got thrown off, or the fuel pump failed. I don't know, but I can't seem to. At this point, I'm not getting any fuel to the spark plugs. They look very dry. Even when I pour fuel down the carburetor throat, it just doesn't want to start. It started yesterday for a couple of seconds and then quit, and very frustrating. So I want to make sure I check compression again. I got 80 pounds on each cylinder. All four cylinders are dead even at 80. And so, the engine itself, this looks pretty healthy. This thing should run. Well, I got to consult the manual. I've got to get a manual for it and make sure that everything is correct on the distributor. I'm getting spark on all four cylinders. It's jumping a nice, at least a 1/4 inch gap, maybe actually a 3/8 gap on each cylinder. Seems to be pumping gas. I took the fuel line off and I pumped gas as I was cranking it. It didn't look like a lot was coming out, but it looked like enough. So it looked like it was pumping. So I'm not sure what's happening here. So I've got to keep digging. So stay tuned. We'll see what we can. Maybe I'll take the other panels off on the other side just to make sure that we have no scoring. But this is looking very good. I'm going to turn the engine over a little bit. Yeah, almost wanted to fire right there. But yeah, well, you can see maybe slight scoring, but not very bad. Not very bad, and all the rings look really good. So, okay, I've got the panels off on the starboard side, and about the same. I mean, I don't see any real issue here. I mean, there's some scoring. It looks like slight scoring, but I don't know if that's horrible or not. I mean, you can see it on the piston on the upper cylinder. That would be the number one cylinder, but the rings look clean, and they do move. You can see them flex when I press on them. So I don't think there's any real issue with this motor. I mean, it should run no problem, and it did run. That's the thing. This is just to double check, make sure we're not dealing with a bunch of scored, broken rings. And let me get that one, the rings on the top on the number one cylinder. I want to see what that is. Okay, I've got the rings exposed here, and you can see, they look very clean. There's no breaks in them, and I can see. And they do flex, so they're not stuck. Overall, I don't see a whole bunch of carbon in this engine. I don't see as much as I'd expect to see for this vintage. So this should not be an issue. Okay, so I decided to remove the carburetor and just go ahead and inspect the reeds, because this is an old engine. And so I've taken the intake off. There's basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, approximately 12 bolts to pull out of this thing. So, and I've got it over on the bench. So here is this is the intake cover. And I don't see any issues with that. It looks pretty clean. So I pulled the cover off. And here's the reed plate. Now, I mean, you can see there is some discoloration there, but they're not, you know, they're not too terribly worn. I don't see any broken or chipped edges or anything like that. And okay, I just wanted to go over these reeds again, just one more time, just to let you know. It wasn't just one reed plate I found bad. If you look in the light, you'll see. I mean, they looked reasonably decent before, but now you can see I've been kind of trying to gauge them with a feeler gauge, and most manuals I've read require about 1/1000th or 10,000ths of an inch of a feeler gauge. If they pass that, then they're okay. But you know, without the you know, but you can see all kinds of light coming through on these now. You know, just from using a feeler gauge, and I'll show you what I did. I'm going to turn it upside down like this, or right side up, however you want to turn it. And you use. I've got an 11,000ths here, and 11,000ths should not go in any of these if these are okay, from what I understand. But if I go to do this, and I try to put a feeler gauge on these, now that one seems okay. Oh, that one opened up. That one seems okay. That one opened up. Yeah, that one opened up. So, I mean, it was just too easy. Too easy. So that reed is bad. If I go to the next one, on this side, oh, that one opened up. That one seems okay. That seemed okay. That seemed okay. So I've got two bad reeds right there. Now, let's see about this one. Well, that might be okay. I'm not pushing all that hard. If any one of these fails this test, it's a bad reed. Okay. They seem to be okay. Now, did the second one have any light coming through? Not really. I don't see any light coming through those. So, we'll say that one passes. So you've got two bad so far, two good. What about this one? Oh, that one looked like it was about to fail. Yeah, it sure did. That one failed. That one failed. You can see, I can see the gap in it right there. You can see the gap. These two failed. This one may not have. That might have been okay, but no, that one failed. So that one's no good. If we take a look on this one, it would be that one there. Yeah, we got all kinds of light coming through on that one. You can see it when I move it. Okay, so that one's no good. That would be this one. Now we'll do the next one on this side. That seems okay. That seems okay. That seems okay. And I don't think that one had any issues with light. And you can see it. Hang on. Let me get it back up here in the light. That was this one. Oh, I see one that's given us a little bit of light on that one. Maybe we'll double check that. So it would have been this one here, but it still passes 11 thousandths. Oop, you're not really in the picture, are you? Right here. So that one is okay, but it's letting some light in, but not much. So all these passed. I can't get the 11 thousandths. Now if I try a 10 thousandths, will that go through? 10 thousandths was acceptable from what I understand, from what I've read in other manuals. Should be right here. Let's see if that one goes through. And it was this one, I believe. Yep, that actually went through. 10 thousandths went through, but an 11 thousandths wouldn't. So that read is borderline. Okay. Now we'll check this one. Yeah, 10 thousandths. So this one failed here. That one right there failed. Or at least it went to the maximum amount. Nope, that one did too. That one opened up. Okay. And then what I'll do is I'll check this one side now. I'll check this side with the 11 thousandths and see if that doesn't, if that works. Okay, so now I'll check this one with an 11 thousandths and see if that opens up. Yeah, it sure did. So I could get an 11 thousandths gauge in that. So that means that's out of spec. How about this one? Yeah, that worked. So that one's no good. It's got two reeds, two pedals that are bad. And finally, the back side. That one opened up. That's at 11 thousandths. That failed. That one failed. And that one failed. So these two reeds are bad. These, so I got two, I think three, four, or five. I think 5 reeds total. I think 5 reeds total. Yeah, 1, 2. I think those two are okay, kind of. One on the left, and then I think one on the right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got to check this again, but I go back and take a look. But anyway, I lost track. But you know, so I've got more. I would just replace all of them if I can. But I think what's going to happen here, he's going to be limited on how much the owner can find online to replace these. So we'll pick the best of the best and keep them, I guess, and unless we can replace them all. So I would just replace them all. That would be the wisest thing to do. So anyway, we'll go from there. The 2 reed blocks that supplied fuel to the starboard side cylinders, 1 and 3, is showing a very burnt appearance. This is due to a clogged carburetor and backfiring. So these reeds are bad. The first thing you have to do, though, before you touch anything with the distributor, is you have to make sure that this timing mark on the flywheel, right here, you can see that in red, is lined up with this timing mark down here on the base, on the block. Then you go into the distributor, and that's when you set your timing base or plate and pulley and align that. What I wanted to do is just double check the timing, and so the idea is here is to have the ignition on, and then you touch one side of the points with the trouble light, and then you rotate the flywheel just past. if you can see the timing mark here, this is the timing mark. It's labeled in red with a line going all the way up the pulley. And that's the timing mark that's supposed to be lined up with that right here. So this is the timing mark for this first set of points closest to the condenser. So anyway, it does look like it's a little off here, but you can rotate this, but I can line that up just like that. Because what I did is I had the pulley off. I took the pulley off and I lined these marks up. This timing mark here with the pulley, dead on. And then what you do is you take your timing light and you watch for continuity as those breakers touch each other, or actually come apart from each other. I'm sorry, they have to come apart. You can see that there is a gap there. They are gapped at 20 thousandths, and that light is on. So now as I rotate that flywheel, I don't know if I can do this. If I rotate the flywheel just slightly past that mark, that light goes out. And you can see that the mark now is over here. The timing mark is here. Once it goes past that timing mark, right there, the light goes out. And the true is the same. When you got the pulley off, you can move that pulley pretty easily. And if you just go past the timing light, your light should go out, okay? And if you rotate it counterclockwise with the belt off, it should also go out. So these points should open and close, and these points are supposed to be on the high side of the cam. So if you remove this cam, you got to make sure that the timing arm here, or the point arm here, is on the high side of the cam. So that's that's where I got kind of screwed up, is that this timing cam came off, and I had to play with it and rotate it and turn it, because there's actually a flywheel woodruff key on one side and a spring clip on the other side, and the cam is keyed. The cam is keyed with two flywheel keys. If you notice, it's got two flywheel keys, one on side here and one side here. One is for the woodruff key, the other is for the tiny little spring. And if you get those confused, that cam will not be in the right orientation. So your best bet is probably to mark it on one side for the woodruff key that lets you know which side the cam is on, the high side of the cam, or you got to play with it until the points open on the high side of the cam for this set of points. But anyway, the idea is that, once you've rotated the flywheel past that timing mark, the light goes out. So that it did. Now the other timing mark, you've got to set the other timing mark for the other set of points, this set of points, and it's got to be 90 degrees, and the timing mark is right here. That's for the second set of points. So you rotate this, you rotate the flywheel or the pulley another 90 degrees until you see the mark come around. If you see, I can do this with it attached. I probably should have filmed this with the belt off. It would have made it a whole lot easier. But there's the mark right there. I think we can just see it. There it is. There's the mark right there. And there's our timing mark. So I passed it just slightly. So I might be able to back that up just a little bit. It's not, let me see here if I can back this up just a little bit. Okay. You can see the mark. It's red. It's right here. But it's got a line all the way down. Somebody had marked it with a red marker, I guess. But there's the timing mark on the plate, or on the base, and then here's the timing mark on the pulley. So those have to line up, and then when you check continuity on the points, when that comes around and touches that, see, those points open, and the light, if you can see the light, little light in there, it's kind of hard to see. It's bright out here, but you can see it light up. So it is lit up, and the timing points match here to here. So if you turn this just slightly clockwise, and you pass by that mark, there, I had to use both hands, sorry. But then, when I touch the lead, the light goes out, and that means the points, they're touching each other. So when they touch each other, that's when they you don't get continuity. Okay, so that means it's timed on the first set of points and the second set of points, and that they have to fire within 90 degrees of each other in order to properly run. So anyway, I hope this helps somebody. If not, well, it's very confusing, but this is kind of what these old motors are. They're not CDI electronics. They're all, this is an automotive distributor, and the way you know that this is an automotive style is that the spark plug wires come up the top of the distributor, and the coil goes to the distributor at the top. So here's the coil comes up and goes into the distributor. Now, if this was a magneto style, they'd be coming out the bottom. These wires would be coming out the bottom of the distributor. But this is an automotive style. But they have to be firing at the appropriate time in order for this thing to work. Even though I had spark, I didn't lose spark. I couldn't get it to start. So that might be partly why it wouldn't start. I think the other part is the reeds. I think it wasn't getting fuel. So I'm just making sure that everything is proper. You know, it was running before, but kind of missing, and at high idle, or not high idle, but high RPM at wide open throttle, it was just missing a beat a little bit. Didn't seem to be, getting full power. So, but we were cruising at about 28 miles an hour with three grown men in the boat. So it wasn't doing too badly. So I think these little tweaks are going to help out, and I hope it's helping out someone too. So anyway, keep watching, and when the reeds come in, we'll put them in as well. Okay, I just wanted to, while I've got this carburetor off, there's one other thing I noticed that when I was reading the service manual, or at least a portion of it, I found out that the carburetor needed an adjustment on the, if you do tear down this carburetor, this is a special type of carburetor that requires the, if you pull out the venturi tubes of this thing, you have to use a special tool to center them when you take them out and put them in. So I didn't know that, and I didn't discover that until after I had already rebuilt the carburetor and put it together. So my bad on that. And so now I've got it apart. I've got a chance to double check using that tool to make sure those venturi tubes are centered in the bowls, or in the throat of the carburetor. So I'm going to take this back apart, pull this off, and make sure that those venturi tubes are centered. So stay tuned. Okay, now that I've got all the screws out, I can pull off the bowl, or at least separate the two halves. And what I'm going after are these two venturi tubes here. See, now this maybe this one's not completely centered. I don't know. It's just kind of hard to tell. But this tool is supposed to line up that pin and put that in there perfectly. So I guess when you tighten these down, I don't see much of a difference the way I've got them in there. But I don't know why you would need that tool. It doesn't look all that like the adjustments that I've got here are all that bad. I think they're dead on. Without the tool, it went in right the way it was supposed to. So I don't see how that's that alignment tool is even that important. But well, Anyway, I figured I'd double check it. It looks pretty darn good. I didn't even have to do anything. I'll be darned. Well, okay. Well, I guess they were okay, because that fits in there just right. I don't see how it's off, so I'm going to call that a win and put it back together. So, okay, just double checking. Okay, today I'm just going to take a look at the crankshaft seal, the upper crankshaft seal. So I've got to remove the flywheel, and so the 3 bolts came out. This cover comes off, and it exposes the big nut on top. Then I got to get my puller out and pull that flywheel, so stay tuned for that. Okay, the puller seemed to work. I got this thing to loosen up. So now all I got to do is get it off of here. Let's see here. Okay, so I got the flywheel off. So the deal is, I'm looking at the seal, and it actually doesn't look bad. So I don't see any real evidence of oil or sling lines or anything like that where that seal could have been a problem. So that's good news. I was wondering if that was actually leaking or not. But I might put a little bit of oil on there and then spin this to see if there's any bubbles coming up. That might be some way of checking, so stand by. Okay, so as I rotate the shaft, I was looking for evidence of any kind of air coming up through that seal or oil bubbling up, but I don't see anything, so I think that's a great sign. A little concerned that there might be some gases coming up. I'll move there. And I don't see anything, so that's good news. Okay, so I'm just going to put the flywheel back on, maybe clean this up a little bit, and throw it back. Okay, so we're going to start it up again today. I've got the timing all adjusted properly. Carburetor's back on, the intake back on. We replaced one reed. The others I just cleaned up. But we're going to give it a try and see if we can we've regained spark again. And well, we had spark, but I'm not sure if the timing was off or if it was just related to the reeds. But this thing would not start. And if you saw the video previous, or the previous footage, the reeds were actually burned, and it was the two blocks on the starboard side where we had a little bit more scoring than on the port side. So I'm thinking it was burning lean, backfiring through the carburetor until that carburetor was clean. But we were getting a hard start because of the fact that those reeds, I think, were in kind of bad shape. So we replaced what we could. We cleaned up the rest, and we're going to see how it starts. So stay tuned. I've got the bulb prime choke. I got the needles on the carburetors, the air mixture needles out about 1.5 turns from lightly seated. So that should give me what I need to get this thing to at least start. We've also replaced the coil. Probably didn't need to, but we did anyway, just as a precaution. So we'll see what we got. I think the water's up high enough to where I can start it without damaging anything. I want to see if I get spark, so we'll see. Yeah, I got spark here. Spark here. Nothing there. So I'm going to replace this. I think this was my bad tester. So I'm going to get rid of that one. And I'm going to throw that one in the garbage. Let's replace it with that and see what I got now. I got spark on all 4 cylinders, so that's good to know. It should have fired, but let's see what we have. Maybe I can give this a little throttle. Huh. Not sure what's happening. I'm going to try and jump it with my jumper and give that battery some help. Cranking this. I don't know. I didn't look. I bought a new battery, but that should be doing like crazy here. That should do the job. That seemed to help. Smoking because I used some seafoam in the carburetor, and I sprayed seafoam in into the bypass ports as well, just to keep some of the rings lubricated, keep them from rusting. And I think that's why you see smoking. It's just seafoam. I was afraid that was going to happen. I don't want it to stall out while it's in gear. Oh, geez, I think I'm out of gas. I took all that gas already. Wow. But he's got a leaking gasket here on this tank. When I go to prime it, you can see gas spewing out. That's an air leak, people. You have that, you'll have real running problems. Well, no wonder. Now that's another issue. You got gas flowing out of this gasket. Okay, you seem to be running now. I've got it up on high idle. Warm-up mode. I just want to see what's going to happen when it's warmed up and I bring it back down to normal idle. See if that idle drops a bit and if it stays running. Take the lever, put it back up on normal. You can hear the engine drop a little bit. Automatic mode, we'll switch off a bit. Now it's full open. I'm going to throw it in gear and just see what it does. Alright, seems like it's staying running. Good sign. A little fast idle though. It seems like it's awfully fast. I'm going to shut it off. I think the water's almost too low. Well, it's raining out today, and I ran it yesterday, but I wasn't really impressed. I'm still debating on. You know, I'm sure this thing can run better. And now I've tried to start it. I actually did start it earlier this morning when the sun was out. And it starts for a while and then dies out, and I can't get it started again. I really truly believe that those reeds are just shot. They're so burned so badly, and they're, you know, you check them with an 11 thousandths gauge, and most of them have that opening to where they've just got too much of a gap. So we're on the hunt for some new reed blocks for this thing, because I think that's really where it's at. It's you know, the carburetor's been rebuilt, the fuel pump's been rebuilt, the timing has been adjusted, the new spark plugs, the cap and rotor are original, but they clean the contacts in those. Wires all showed good continuity. I've got great spark, crossing at least a 7/16 inch gap on all 4 cylinders. We've replaced the coil just because, and it's running. It runs for a few minutes, and then just dies, and it's very hard to start. I think the starter is actually starting to go in it. It gets hot, overheats a bit. And you got to wait and wait and wait until it cools down, and then try to crank it again. Then it fires up for a few more minutes, not even a few minutes, just about a minute, before I can even adjust the air mixture on it, and it dies. So, I'm really thinking that the idle is rough on this, and I think new reeds would help. I think that would give it a new life. So anyway, stay tuned. If we can get new reeds, we're gonna put them back in and see what we can do with it. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Part 3 will be coming up. Or is this part 4? I lost track.